Finally, the survey report of the Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi was submitted to a court on Thursday morning. The survey report submitted to the court is a sealed envelope which was leaked. The Supreme Court has told the Varanasi court not to pass any orders for now. The Supreme Court will resume hearing the matter on Friday. The Gyanvapi Mosque committee submitted an affidavit to the court opposing any demolition inside the mosque and said the onus of the law and order was on the court.
3 sealed boxes and a chip with hundreds of video clips and photographs are part of a report on the filming of Varanasi's Gyanvapi Mosque filed before this city court, which had ordered the filming based on a petition by 5 Hindu women who claim there are idols of Hindu gods and goddesses inside the mosque. According to a copy of the report shared by the petitioners, which NDTV cannot independently verify, it says the pillars in the mosque basement have engravings of flowers and the kalash. The report says a symbol of the Trishul was found on a wall in the basement. The report adds that 2 large pillars and an arch protruding from the western wall of the mosque were found and says the petitioners call them remnants of temples, but the mosque committee opposed this. The report adds that a round structure with 2.5 feet height was noticed in the pond used for wuzu. The petitioners call this a shivling, the report says, and adds that the mosque committee said it was a fountain.
हम लोगों ने जो रिपोर्ट बनाई है उसमें बिना किसी भेदभाव के जो चीजें कही गई वो भी लिखी है और जो चीजें दिखाई दी वो भी लिखी है।
कहीं पर आपत्ति दर्ज कराई वादी यानी हिंदू पक्ष ने, तो आपने वो भी लिखा या मुस्लिम पक्ष ने दिखाया?
जो रिट में था उसी के अनुसार काम हुआ है और अगर वादी ने कोई आपत्ति की, प्रतिवादी ने क्या किया, सब लिखा गया उस रिपोर्ट में।
The survey report is out in public domain even before the Varanasi court has had a say on it, and before the question has been addressed by the Supreme Court as to whether a survey at the mosque violates a 1991 law that prohibits the change in character of any religious place and maintains status quo as on the day of independence. The Gyanvapi Mosque committee today contested a plea by the petitioners asking for demolition inside the mosque with a court affidavit that said the mosque will collapse if the wall is taken down. The affidavit says that any demolition will hurt Muslim sentiments and that the demolition of the wall will spoil the atmosphere. The mosque committee says that the responsibility of law and order is with the court and that the shivling claims are fictional and the court should not pass any orders based on them. The Varanasi court will hear the matter next on Monday after the Supreme Court, that is hearing an appeal against filming in the mosque, asked the Varanasi court not to proceed further in the matter till Friday evening. With Saurabh Shukla, Ajay Singh and Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
A lawsuit demanding the removal of a mosque in Mathura said to be built on the Krishna Janmabhoomi or the birthplace of Lord Krishna has been allowed by a court in Uttar Pradesh. This means that the lawsuit can be heard by a court. The civil court in Mathura had earlier dismissed the case, prompting many to ask, what has changed?
Remove this mosque entirely. It was built on the birthplace of Krishna. That is the latest plea in a series of Mandir Masjid disputes. A district court in Mathura today allowed a lawsuit demanding the removal of the Shahi Eidgah Mosque in Mathura. The suit was filed in September 2020 on behalf of the child deity Lord Shri Krishna Virajman. The 5 petitioners in the case are not residents of Mathura but claim to be worshippers of Lord Krishna. They are Ranjana Agnihotri, Pravesh Kumar, Rajesh Mani Tripathi, Karunesh Kumar Shukla, Shivaji Singh and Tripurari Tiwari. They claim the mosque was built on the orders of the Mughal ruler Aurangzeb. The petitioners want ownership of the entire 13.37 acres of land and cancellation of a compromise between the temple complex and the mosque management in 1968. The suit was dismissed in September 2020 by a civil court, but the petitioners appealed against the order today.
There is a series of evidence on the court. Sale deed, originally property owned by the ownership, जो auction में property purchase की, series of document हमने evidence दाखिल की है. Land revenue.
Currently, land revenue has been paid by the Thakurji only.
The temple's management committee says it wants to build a temple on the land where the mosque stands today.
अयोध्या में जो गंगा प्रवाहित हुई थी, गंगा शुरू हुई विकास की, भक्ति की, सनातन धर्म की, वो वाराणसी पहुंच चुकी है और वाराणसी है विकास की गंगा मथुरा तक आ गई है। राम कृष्ण और शिव को यदि हम अलग कर दें तो सनातन धर्म आत्माहीन है.
The Muslim side, however, denies that the mosque is built on Krishna Janmabhoomi.
13.37 एकड़ से बिल्कुल बाहर शाही मस्जिद है, टुवर्ड्स ईस्ट है. इवन जो डॉक्यूमेंट है जो उन्होंने फाइल किया, जैसे जुगल किशोर बिड़ला जी ने ट्रस्ट बनाया, प्रॉपर्टी को परचेज किया, उसके टुवर्ड्स ईस्ट में जो बाउंड्रीज दे रखी हैं उस तरफ वक्त प्रॉपर्टी दिखा रखी है. तो हमारा तो कंटेंशन ये था कि साहब ये 13.37 एकड़ का भाग ही नहीं है. अब चूंकि भाग ही नहीं है तो इस संबंध में इन लोगों को कोई भी राइट नहीं है कि इस प्रॉपर्टी के संबंध में कोई भी केस ये फाइल कर सके.
The issue was a major poll plank during the Uttar Pradesh elections earlier this year. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath had said that after the temples in Ayodhya and Kashi, it was now Mathura's turn.
Today's verdict has raised the question, will this Krishna Janmabhoomi in Mathura become the next Ayodhya? Another place of worship is now under the court's scanner, but it will take months of hearing before the answer is anywhere in sight. In Mathura, with camera person Pawan Kumar and Saurabh Gautam, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
To more political stories, Congress leader Navjot Singh Sidhu was sentenced by the Supreme Court to 1 year in jail in a 34-year-old road rage case. The cricketer turned politician must surrender and serve a 1-year rigorous imprisonment. That's what the court said.
A big come down for the former Punjab Congress president Navjot Sidhu. The Supreme Court today sentenced him to a year's rigorous imprisonment in a 1988 road rage case. The order came soon after the former Congress state president was seen protesting against price rise in Patiala.
No comment.
December 1988, Sidhu got into an argument with 65-year-old Gurnam Singh, a resident of Patiala, over a parking spot. Sidhu dragged Gurnam Singh out of his car and hit him. He later died. Sidhu was charged with punishment for voluntarily causing hurt under IPC Section 323. But the Patiala District and Sessions Court acquitted him for want of evidence in 1999. High Court held Sidhu guilty of causing death due to negligence. High Court sentenced Sidhu to 3 years in jail in December 2006. Sidhu spent 2 nights in jail in January 2007 and then got bail from Supreme Court. Supreme Court set aside the High Court order in May 2018. In 2018, Top Court fined Sidhu 1,000 rupees for voluntarily causing hurt. Victim's family filed a review plea in Supreme Court in September 2018. Today, Top Court sentenced Sidhu to 1 year rigorous imprisonment. Reading out the operative part of the verdict, Justice Kaul said that the court is not inclined to convert Sidhu's conviction to a graver charge, but it accepts the plea that the Congress leader's punishment should be enhanced.
As per the practice and procedure in Supreme Court, once your petition review has been allowed, you have to surrender and comply with the order. As of now, he has to go to jail, he has to surrender and go to jail.
It is rare, extremely rare, that in a criminal matter, by review, sentences are reimposed or a sentence is reimposed. Remedies open to Mr. Sidhu will naturally be exercised in accordance with law, whether it is curative petitions or other petitions.
The victim's family says justice has been done.
Nothing, thanks.
As Sidhu will now be taken into custody, his opponents within the party say it's a good riddance.
हाँ देखिए, कांग्रेस का जो नुकसान नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू कर गया है वो कभी भरपाई कभी नहीं होगी.
For the victim's family, the justice has been served after 3 decades. But for Sidhu, who was active in politics despite having lost the polls, this has come as a big setback. With Mohammad Ghazali, Usama Shah for NDTV.
Meanwhile, senior Congress leader and former chief of its Punjab unit Sunil Jaakar joined the rival Bharatiya Janata Party days after quitting the grand old party. The former Congress leader quit Congress weeks after he was issued a show-cause notice by the Congress leadership over his criticism of former Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi. Congress's coterie has now turned into a gang, he said, while addressing the media with BJP chief JP Nadda by his side. Take a look.
Of the 2 people who recently resigned from the Congress, Gujarat Working President Hardik Patel and former Congress Punjab Chief Sunil Jaakar. Mr. Jaakar has now executed his big switch from Congress to the BJP. At this press conference in New Delhi with BJP President JP Nadda by his side, BJP is sending out a strong and powerful message. Nadda even acknowledging that an important role will be given to Mr. Jaakar.
पार्टी मजबूत होगी पंजाब को मजबूत करने के लिए, पंजाब को मजबूती प्रदान करने के लिए, और उसमें सुनील जाखड़ जी का विशेष योगदान रहने वाला है.
The former Punjab Congress chief could not help but talk about his association with the Congress, saying the decision to end the association was not easy. But it was more about integrity and respect that forced him to make this move.
50 साल का संबंध मेरा कांग्रेस से है. अगर सुनील जाखड़ ने आज एक परिवार से 50 साल का रिश्ता तोड़ने की नौबत आई तो कोई आधारभूत बातें थीं. किसी कोई व्यक्तिगत झगड़ा नहीं था. हम इंसान हैं, हमने रिश्तों को निभाया है असूलों की तरह. पर जब असूल ही टूट जाएं, जब हम अपने सिद्धांत से हट जाएं, अपनी आइडियोलॉजी से हट जाएं, तो मैं समझता हूं दिस इज अ राइट टाइम टू हैव अ रीथिंक.
Jaakar is a big catch for the BJP. He enjoys a clean image and is respected across parties. He is largely non-confrontational and has a straightforward image. He is a homegrown leader who enjoys respect among Sikh and non-Sikh communities. His stint as Punjab Congress chief could help BJP set up base in Punjab. He could help BJP by getting other disgruntled congressmen together. He could also help BJP overcome the AAP challenge ahead of 2024. A Jaat leader, he will help BJP in Haryana too. He is likely to help BJP in Himachal polls as well.
Mr. Jaakar has exhibited signs of disgruntlement for a while. His tweets and utterances have landed him in trouble where he took divergent view from the party over issues like appointing Navjot Singh Sidhu as party president in Punjab or projecting Mr. Channi as the CM face. He even questioned the Prime Minister's security lapse in Firozpur.
The Aam Aadmi Party has greeted this move as political caution. All the eyes are now on the other big exit from the Congress, amid murmur that Hardik Patel too could switch to the BJP ahead of the Gujarat Assembly elections later this year. In Punjab with Mohammad Ghazali, Usama Shah for NDTV.
सुनील जाखड़ जी के साथ भी मेरा एक निजी बहुत अच्छा रिश्ता रहा. हाँ, अगर स्टेट में आपकी कंपटीशन होती है, कहीं दिक्कत होती है, तो एक पद के लिए 10 है तो 10 को वो पद नहीं मिल सकता है. आखिर में स्वीकार करना पड़ता है. आज मेरी पार्टी मुझे प्रदेश अध्यक्ष बनाए, मुझे मान सम्मान दे, पर मेरी ये बात रहे कि नहीं मैं ही मुख्यमंत्री बन जाऊं, तो हर कोई तो मुख्यमंत्री नहीं बन सकता है.
Honorable Minister for IT and Industries Mr. K.T. Rama Rao met with Mr. Frank Wright, Global R&D Head of the GSK Consumer Health, on Thursday to discuss the growth witnessed by the safety and regulatory setup of the GlaxoSmithKline in Telangana and their expansion plans for the state. The government of Telangana has entered into a memorandum of understanding with the King's College London in the presence of the Honourable Minister for Industries and Commerce, the government of Telangana, Shri K.T. Rama Rao, in connection to the Pharma University at Hyderabad Pharma City. The MOU was signed on Thursday as part of the Telangana delegation's visit to the UK.